Hey folks, my name is Axel. Can you imagine what life would be like without video games? Wow, I feel great today and I've gotten so much work done. That button-up barely even fit me. Yeah, no thanks. I'll stick with Yoshi's Crafted World, thank you. You've been saving up for a little bit, you just bought a brand new game and you're so excited to crack it open and play it, and oh look at that, you already beat it. Seems like nowadays developers are more focused on content rather than length when it comes to games. Back in the day, once you beat a game, that was just kinda it. There wasn't much to do in a game after the credits rolled aside from just playing the game over again. Sometimes you'd get the ability to play the game again on a higher difficulty, like with the original Super Mario Bros. But nowadays with games, specifically games on the Switch, something that I've realized is that instead of going for a game that's necessarily long, they go for a game that has a lot of stuff that you can do in it. For example, in Mario Odyssey, you only need 124 of the moons in the game to actually beat the game, but there are actually 880 moons that you can get in the game. So technically, even after you've beaten the game, you can still keep coming back to it for hours and hours and hours and hours. But what happens when you want to go all out? The art of 100%, a mobile gamer's worst nightmare. Sometimes you just want to keep playing a game after you've beaten it, but you don't want to start over entirely, so what do? Just crack out Breath of the Wild and look for a couple Korok seeds. You'll never run out. You see, a very big problem with games is lastability. A AAA game can cost $60. What? A AAA game costs $60, and it's likely to rise to $70 to $80 within the next 10 years. So obviously, people want to get their money's worth out of the game. This means your game has to have replayability. It has to have something that makes people want to keep playing it so they feel like they've gotten their money's worth out of it. But at the same time, you don't want to make the game itself too ridiculously long because that can make the experience seem more grueling. Solution is to put a lot of optional content in the game. But going back to the topic of short games that take a long time to do everything in, I think Breath of the Wild takes the cake in this regard. After you've completed the tutorial in the game, you can literally just run to the final boss. And I'm not making that up, you can beat this game in under 2 hours. But one of the options that extends playtime a bit is getting the true ending, which requires you to beat all the major dungeons in the game, get back all your lost memories, and reclaim the Master Sword. Beating all the major dungeons in the game is simple enough, I guess. You just go to the areas they are on the map, and you'll likely run into the people who give you the story quest for it. All it requires is that you explore a lot. And getting your lost memories back is also a lot simpler than a lot of people make it out to be. A little ways into the game, you'll get pictures in your album that you can't delete, and you just have to go to those areas to get your memories back. All it requires is that you just figure out where the pictures are based on landmarks. Some of the pictures are easy to figure out, and some of them are definitely pictures, I'll give them that, but it's all definitely doable. The Master Sword, though, is a much bigger task. Throughout the game, you'll find shrines, which are basically just mini puzzle dungeons. Completing a shrine gets you a spirit orb. You can trade the orbs to get more hearts or get more stamina. And if you have enough hearts, you can just go and take the Master Sword. To get the Master Sword, you'll need 13 hearts. You start with 3 hearts, each heart costs 4 orbs, so you'll need to complete 40 of the shrines in the game to get the Master Sword. In addition to just completing the shrines in the game, you also have to figure out exactly where they are. Yeah, sometimes finding the shrine is a puzzle in itself. Sometimes you'll have to walk through a maze, sometimes you'll have to walk through another maze, sometimes you'll have to walk through a third maze, and sometimes you'll have to walk through a 4th maze. There isn't too terribly much to distinguish where a shrine is and how many there are in an area. You have a radar that senses where shrines are, but it's very limited. But at the same time, there's a ton of shrines in the game, so it shouldn't be hard to find at least 40 of them. It's not even half. But like I said, that's just to get the true ending of the game. There's still so much you can do after you've done that. You can complete the rest of the 96 shrines, you can do all the side quests, you can do the DLC content, you can look for Easter eggs, you can look for Korok seeds. Actually, hold on to that for a second. Throughout the game, you'll find these little hidden green things called Koroks, and when you find them, they give you a Korok seed. The seeds can be traded in to expand your inventory. The amount of seeds you need to expand your inventory gets incrementally bigger each time you expand your inventory. In order to reach the maximum, you're going to need 441 seeds. And you might think, well, if it maxes out at 441, then that must be all the seeds in the game. But no, there's just a couple extras that you can go and find if you feel like. It's not that many, it's just about like 459 extras. So you might be thinking to yourself, Well, if my inventory maxes out halfway through, then there must be some big, huge reward for getting all the Korok seeds, right? What if they did that? Do you think they did that? Moving on. Have you ever played a game and wanted to get 100%, but getting 100% was so huge of a goal that you just felt burnt out by the end of the game? I think that's happened to me a couple times with games. Games like Yoshi's Crafted World, Super Mario 3D World, Majora's Mask, the Galaxy games, Super Metroid, Mario Maker. Can you tell I'm a Nintendo fan? But as I was writing the script for this video, I look back at these games and I find that they're some of my favorites. I find that I genuinely liked getting everything in the game for some reason. And I think to myself, even though the goal I set out with these games caused me a lot of frustration and they caused me a lot of anger, I still look back on those memories positively. And not only that, I look back on these 100% playthroughs of these games and I find that I have more fond memories of those playthroughs than I do of my casual ones. I'm probably not going to replay these games again for a while because I know that if I do, I'll want to get everything in the game. But even though the task of getting everything in these games is monotonous, I still feel so nostalgic for the process of doing so. Why is that? I love these games and I love playing these games and I love the idea of 100%ing them, but I actually dread ever having to go back and do it again. Is it because I love getting everything in a game, so even if I get tired of a game, I'll still have a good time with it? Is it because I just love games in general, so even if I get tired with a goal I have in a game, I'll still enjoy the game? Is it because these games by themselves are already so good that even if I had a bad experience with them, I'll still feel nostalgic? Or maybe it's just pure nostalgic I have for these games. Maybe if I were to go and replay them now and try and get everything in the games, I'll find that I'll have a lot less fun than I usually do. Or maybe I'm just a masochist.